I'm Leida Englar, and this is my Rogue Wave called I Miss You. And I've been doing this piece for 4 Rogue Waves, I believe, or 3 Rogue Waves. So it revolves around, these are paintings of my grandchild. My new grandchild's about to come, but it isn't made yet. So this is Jackson. I miss Jackson. So he represents family. This is these 2 chairs here that this year were painted with a heart and a magenta kind of passionate seat. Belonged to my next door neighbor whose name is Bill Durnan, and he represents the connection to the past on the island. He was, he's from an old island family. He was my neighbor for a long time. He died and they threw them out, and this was kind of a symbol of his life. The white buffalo represents a story of peace, how peace came to the people in North America. So it's part of my Aboriginal work. And the whole, actually in the old sign, please walk on the grass, back in the Metro Parks days. And this year, with Jerry and I worked on a project where we were protesting the island airport for 100 Fridays. So Jerry's installation is Homeland Security. And this year, when we came up with the idea of Homeland Security, I wanted to move my kids in there because it's really about our kids that we do it.
What about this boy here?
This little guy is Jackson. What I do is I take small photographs that my kids send me. And Jackson's probably 3 years old. He's now 6. And so this was him sitting on a hill, and this is me cartooning him and cutting him out of plywood and painting. And I put the objects which often move, so kids or somebody comes along and they play with them. The kids from Montessori talk to them when they come by.
And what was the inspiration for these pieces?
I guess the birth of my grandson and the death of Mr. Durnan and my birth of my grandson, who lives a long way away.
So it's about connecting.
It's about connecting everything. It's about connecting family, and it's about connecting the past, and it's about connecting peace, which is a lot of what my meditations are about, and that's why it leads into the Homeland Security and why we do our work. Jackson, when he was a year and a half, he came to visit us in the summer, and this represents my old cat Matt, and no one would touch my old cat except Jackson and I. And I just I repaired these wings for him.
I love the angel wings.
Yeah, and it's about, very inspired recently about Velcro Ripper's Fierce Light video, where a lot of angels appeared. And then Jackson's here with his tools, and I guess he was 4. He was probably 4.5 or 5. He would be 5, and from this photograph, and he loves carrying around his grandfather's tools, so we make a bag. And I wanted to connect them to the piece of the Homeland Security, because it really is about them. So this is part of our Homeland Security installation for Rogue Wave. These represent 2 kites. We called them the kites that can't fly, because you can't fly kites around in the community or around the Toronto Island Airport. It's a security issue. And this was part of our Friday demonstrations with Community Air, trying to close the island airport. So we started to do an outreach in the community and through art, which is something that we know works, through the children. So we went to the fall fair and did this. Between these 2 kites are 72 pieces of work. So 72 from the very smallest child and to, I guess, somebody who was, I don't know, in their late 30s, came and painted on these squares, and we created a quilt effect. And the huge kites that were carried as puppets.
And what does it say around the edge?
And it says around the kite that couldn't fly. But how I used to finish the statement was, the kite that couldn't fly but will again if with your help. And it was called Follies, and it was a play on, because a lot of my belief is that the air is so polluted down there at the bottom around the airport. And well, in the 10-mile really radius of an airport, the air is toxic. But right down in that community right now, it's obscene. So It was about the air, breathing clean air, and the right to do it. So we did a project from Shadowland years ago called Island Follies. So we called it Air Follies.